This video is going to focus specifically on the Walk in Their Shoes project, which you'll be working on throughout the semester. And during this week, week 2, you're going to be selecting your topic. To access this folder, I just clicked right here, the Walk in Their Shoes project. And this folder contains a number of things. First of all, the guidelines. I'll open up that in just a moment. But I will remind you that for the project, you'll be having 3 different assignments. Of course, you'll be selecting your project topic this week, and then in week 6, you're going to submit at least a subset of your notes. Week 10, you'll submit an outline for the paper, and then finally in week 14, you'll be submitting the final paper. I've done this sort of developmental process, having you submit assignments along the way, because several different research studies have shown that this leads to a much higher quality paper, and I think a much more manageable student-author experience through the process. So opening up these guidelines right here, I'm not going to go over everything, but there are a couple of things that I want to hit on. First of all, this project is unusual because instead of writing a typical research paper, you're not really going to be using scholarly articles. Most of your research is not just going to be factual in nature. Instead, it's actually going to be people's personal experiences with the particular topic, with the particular mental disorder that you have selected. And so your sources will be blogs, YouTube videos where people are talking about living with that particular condition. It might be a chat room or support group website. So please do keep that in mind. There will be a little bit of factual information where you talk about symptoms or treatments. But for the most part, the paper is going to center around these personalized, what I call real-world information. With that in mind, for the paper, you need at least 3 different people that you are focusing on. That may include an interview with somebody, but it doesn't have to. But at least 2 of your sources do need to be publicly available online. So I know you're not just making it up. And for the outline, you'll need to have information from at least 2 of those people. Each one of your required topics also needs information from at least 2 people. So when you get to the paper, this also will help you guide what kind of notes you're taking. There will definitely be some factual information, and you can see I've listed reasonable websites for that. The bulk of the paper will be related to real people, so you'll focus on what those symptoms actually look like. So it's one thing to say that somebody experiences a phobia that intrudes upon their daily life experience. It's another thing to hear Sharon's description of how her phobia of spiders prevents her from ever going anywhere outside, and if she does have to go out somewhere outside, she has to swipe with a broom everywhere that she walks because she's so afraid of a spider. You will also be talking about people's experiences with treatment. That might be medication, excuse me, or therapy, or in many cases it might involve some type of alternative treatment as well, exercise, meditation, something like that. And then because a psychological disorder is only a disorder when it is intruding upon our activities of life, you're going to be focusing on how the disorder has influenced work or school, how it's influenced relationships, and then also how it's influenced how they view themselves. Typically, these will be negative impacts, but certainly in some cases, a mental disorder might actually enhance one or more of these aspects. So you're welcome to include that. These are just things that I wanted to put together related to writing a quality paper. So in part when you take your notes, but certainly as you actually sit down to write the paper, definitely read this over. And then finally, I do have the grading rubric at the very end of the paper. All right, so I've come back to the project folder to just speak a little bit about what's in here. Now, because you do need to use blogs, I've gone ahead and provided you with a working list. The links worked the last time I checked, which was a few weeks ago. And for each of the possible topics that are available, I do have at least 6 different sources, appropriate sources that are either blogs or videos. So you do not have to use these, but this is at least gives you a jumping off point, and it shows you what kinds of sources are appropriate for that real world information. And then once you select your project topic, of course, you'll be starting to take notes over the next couple of weeks. And so I did just want to draw your attention to the fact that right here, I do have a checklist of the kinds of information that I'll be looking for. So for each one of these required topics, you should have information from at least 2 sources. And then to show you what kinds of notes are appropriate, I went ahead and did, I think I probably spent about an hour taking notes on borderline personality disorder. So again, this is just to show you what kinds of notes I was taking. So these are all blog sources, and it's people talking about their real experiences. Excuse me, for the notes. It's fine if you are copying and pasting quotes, but then when you actually write the paper, I will expect that you paraphrase most of those quotes. I have organized the notes by topic here because that's how I would write the paper, but you're also welcome to organize them by source if you like. Going back to the project folder, I've also provided a guide for the outline. I'll talk more about that as we get closer to the due date. And then it may also be worthwhile, even early on, to take a look at some of these sample high quality papers that I have included. That does give you an idea of what's expected and will probably guide your note taking. As always, if you have questions, please do reach out to me. You can post them on the Q&A forum or get in touch with me. And certainly if you need any guidance, I'm happy to talk with you on the phone or meet with you during office hours or at some other time. Take care, folks.